So, welcome to Raw and Relentless, Brenda. It's good to have you on.
I'm so excited.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Brenda Jones. I'm out of Southern California. I have a lot of jobs. I am a recruiter at
Mhm.
Apple. I've been recruiting for 18 years, been at Apple for over 6 years. And I am also a fund manager. So LeapFrog Funds is our fund. We are a multifamily fund, so we raise money for our own projects, and we're looking for RV parks, multifamily projects, and boutique hotels. I am married.
Mhm.
We've been together 10 years and I think married 5. And I have a son
Oh,
and he's 4 years old. And he-
congratulations. That's
yeah,
awesome.
he's amazing. He's my life, right? So
Yeah. So, before I hit record, we were kind of chatting about content creation, social media, because me and you are both trying to build our brands, right? Um, you're doing way better than I am because your videos are
oh,
killer. I love your content's
thank you.
great. And you're doing all on your own, right?
Just recently, I did have a social media team and I just made a little transition. But yeah, the last few videos, like I want to say 10, have been mine and I'm very proud of it. It's kind of like the podcast name, like Raw and Relentless. It's just me, take it or leave it, and very minor edits,
Yeah.
just like getting the ums and uhs out of there type of thing. But I don't have any transitions or, whatever. And it's actually performing really well. So I'm excited about that. Very excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, your videos are amazing. They look great. They look like they're done professionally by a professional editor. They're getting great engagement. I mean, to me, you're doing
Thank you.
well. Now it's just like trying to get the traction,
Right.
right?
Yeah, consistency is what everyone says, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. I reluctantly started this whole social media game because um I'm trying to build my brands and they say you need to start with your personal brand
yep.
first. And I've got all these different businesses. And so I'm hoping that by doing this, that, it'll create awareness for all of these brands and, find new customers and all that stuff that goes along with content creation and social media. But to me, it's just like I've told people, like I'm an introvert. I don't like putting myself out there, but that's kind of like what you have to do nowadays.
Absolutely. Well, you have to think about it. Everybody is on some type of cell phone, mostly Apple.
Hmm.
We don't like you Android people out there. And they're on some type of platform, right? So depending on your age, right? I'm 43, so I'm on Instagram. 20-year-olds are
Hmm.
on, I don't know, Snapchat and TikTok and professionals are on LinkedIn. I'm on there as well. So I'm posting on all of those platforms. I'm on YouTube.
Sure.
And, that's the only fastest and cheapest way you can reach hundreds of thousands of people.
Yep.
So you're dumb if you
Yeah.
don't jump on that train.
100%. It's kind of the necessary evil nowadays,
Yeah.
My advertising back in the day was, newspaper ads or
Yep.
mailers. Now it's all digital
Yep.
advertising because everyone's face is in their phones
Exactly. Yep.
nowadays.
Everyone's gonna have jacked up next.
I know. Dude, I'm already there.
Right?
Like I feel like I'm perched forward all the
Same. I'm
time.
always trying to like roll your shoulders back.
Yeah. I told my friend I feel like I'm like
Yeah.
Quasimodo. I feel like my back is like hunched all the
Same.
time,
I know.
because not only are you like staring at your phone, but now you're staring at your computer all the time too.
Exactly. Yep. We're fucked.
Exactly. Exactly. So you have a fund.
Yes, we have a fund. We are still relatively new. So we started soft raising earlier this year, and we have not taken any money officially because we don't have anything under contract. So we
Mhm.
started looking for multifamily, and if anyone that's watching and like understands what's going on with that, nothing's really underwriting, right? Obviously, interest rates
Yes.
affect that. And sellers are still delusional, thinking they can get two, three
Yes.
x what their property is worth. So just
Yes.
recently, we found JV partners that are helping us source RV parks, and those are
Mm.
looking much more exciting. Like target returns are falling within like 15 to 20% cash on cash, up to 30%
Wow.
IRR. Yeah, it's insane. It's crazy. And we're looking in Texas, like the Sun Belt, red states.
Yeah.
And we've got like 6 LOIs out. So I am crossing my fingers that something's going to pop soon and I can start actively raising and get this going. But I'm full transparency, like, it's real estate's hard, right? That shit does not pop
Mhm.
off overnight, and especially since
Mhm.
I decided to get into multifamily. Like, if I wanted to
Mhm.
get into single family, that probably would have happened sooner. But for me, like, the thought of
Mhm.
scaling quickly, that's what was exciting to me.
Yeah, I'm in the same exact boat. I mean, I don't think people understand what's going on in the at least in the family sector of commercial real
Yeah.
estate. I've been chasing it for over 3 years. I mean, honestly, I've been chasing it for most of my life, but I took a very focused effort in the last 3 years. We've underwritten probably well over 2,000
Yeah.
properties in the last 3,000
Mhm.
years. I would say out of those over 2,000 properties, we've probably put LOIs on maybe
Right.
20,
I
maybe,
believe you.
and they just don't pencil till still to this day.
Yep. I'm same boat. Yeah. So maybe you look
Yeah.
into RV parks. They're
Uh,
looking exciting.
do you do you JV partner with other capital raisers for that kind of stuff?
So actually, what we do is we are raising the money and essentially the asset managers, and our JV partners are going to be, they're like doing this deal sourcing and will be the
Mm,
short term operators once we put in full time operations.
mm, that's
Yeah,
good. Let me know if you could do like fund to funds or anything
we
like
will do
that
fund of funds.
because
Absolutely.
okay, maybe I'll come in with
Yeah,
you on
that'd
that.
be awesome. Yay.
What's the typical raise?
So the ones that we've been looking at so far, I mean, the purchase price is between 2 to 5 million, so the raise is between 1 to 2
Oh,
million. Yeah, so it's little, and I don't want to say, you
yeah,
know, because like when we were
relative.
targeting multifamily, like we were trying to raise like 8 million.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
easily. Yeah. Uh, and RV parks are a hot new thing ever since COVID because so many people are remote with their
Yep.
work. And so, in fact, my old marketing person, that's what she
Yeah.
does. Her and her husband just travel the states in an RV and they work remotely for wherever they
Yeah,
go.
it's very popular right now. So definitely want to
Very
jump onto
popular.
that train.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Um, the other thing we were talking about too, which is interesting, is do you have a YouTube channel?
I do have a YouTube channel. Most of them are shorts. I have a few like long form, but the more I go on podcasts, I realize I need to really start my own. I need
Hmm.
to fix my mindset where, like, I think I'm good at being interviewed, but not being the interviewer. Because
Hmm.
I don't know if I can carry the conversation. But in all essence, it's just prepping before, right? But again, we were just talking about it before. I was on a podcast yesterday, and my buddy was telling me he's making thousands of dollars through affiliate links on videos that he's posted months ago. And I'm like, what the
Wow.
hell? Why am I not doing that? So this is what they talk about, like make money in your sleep, right? Work
Yeah,
smarter, not
totally.
harder.
Yeah. That's one thing that I'm trying to figure out because I've got the Raw and Relentless podcast
Mhm.
channel. I don't have my own like personal channel. Like, I don't know if I should do both or just focus on the Raw and Relentless and try and do affiliates that way. I don't really know how to handle that.
So my understanding is it's better to focus on yourself, right? Because people are always going to remember your name versus the podcast name. So
True.
like
Mhm.
mine says Brenda Rose Invests, and I kept it like that because that was my original Instagram handle, but it still has my name in
Yeah.
it, right? And although it
Yeah.
started off as a real estate focused platform, I talk about 401ks, I talk about investing in myself. So I try to broaden it in that sense so that's not only like just for real estate. So
Mhm. Mm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. I mean, that is one thing that I think I say this on the podcast all the time. If that's one hire that I would do for my company, is just someone that just helps with content
yeah,
creation. Ideally, it would be a videographer and editor that could do all of that. But those are very hard to come by.
yeah.
And but I mean, if you can get your channels
Mhm.
grown, all your social media channels, I mean, it's 100% worth it. I mean, look at
Oh
Rich,
yeah.
right? Rich
Yeah.
Summers. He's got a videographer and an editor. He's killing the social media game, and that's how he's able to. He gets deal flow that way. He raises capital that
Yep.
way. He's making money on on the social media side. I mean, this is the way to do business nowadays.
It's the goal. But I just keep on hearing like everyone converts through podcasts or converts through YouTube, right? Like you get their attention on the short
Mm.
form, but
Mhm.
you gain the trust through the long form. So I need to put that into my strategy.
Well, that's what they say. Attention is the new currency,
Yeah.
right? So we need to talk on this podcast about some controversial
Sure.
topics
Let's
so
do
that
it.
we can get
Let's
attention and
do
get
it.
trendy. California, where are you at in
I'm
California?
in Orange County, and we can talk about something controversial. I voted for the first
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Really?
Because I didn't pay attention because I didn't care.
Mhm.
And of
Mhm.
course, like most people, you started paying attention during COVID because you couldn't leave the
Yep.
house
Yep.
and all you could do was
Yep.
watch TV. And
Mhm.
I'm first gen Filipino. So my parents are Filipino. I'm born here. I was born in Chicago. And I just
Oh,
assumed, yeah, I told you this when we met, but it's
that's
okay.
right. I forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry.
it's all
Go
good.
ahead.
That's how we connected.
That's right. I know.
um, and I just assumed my whole life, like, I'm from an immigrant family. I'm not white. Like, I must be a Democrat,
Yeah.
like whatever. And then I started
Yeah.
learning, like, wait a minute, like maybe I am a little more conservative, whatever, right? And titles are
Mhm.
so annoying these days, right? Because people take it
Yes,
so
it is.
far. But
Yeah.
I actually had a couple friends reach out to me and like have me explain to them why I voted for Trump, right? And,
Mhm.
again, a lot of things have changed in my life where it's like, I'm looking through the lens of an entrepreneur. I'm looking at the lens of building wealth through businesses and real
Mhm.
estate, right? I'm
Mhm.
working towards retiring by the time I'm 53. So in the next 10 years, right? Because I don't want to be
Mhm.
65, old,
Yeah.
still doing the same
Yeah.
job, and then only have
Yeah.
10 years to enjoy my life. Like the average lifespan
Yeah.
is 75. And I
Right.
see people
Right.
in their 60s and their 70s, joint pain, hip replacement, knee
Mhm.
replacement.
Mhm.
Why do I want to wait until then to enjoy my life? I want to enjoy my life
Yeah,
now,
100%. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so those are the things is like I'm voting for someone who's going to get me there that much quicker. And of course,
Mhm.
Trump's an asshole and he says racist shit. Like I'm Asian, I know. But the one thing I said, and I'm totally going to get canceled for this, is like, are you yourself as an individual going to sacrifice for everybody in the country, right? Because of something he said? He's
Mhm.
dumb. He's a smart business person, but I
Mhm.
think he's been speaking much better lately, right? He's been coached.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's kind of like some controversy that's been happening in my life recently.
A Californian that voted Republican. Oh,
Well,
no.
I mean, you saw the map, right? The whole damn country was red.
Yes.
There was only
Yes.
few counties on the outskirts that were blue. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
everybody that is feeling this
It's
way.
everybody. No, yeah, and in fact, I just did a podcast earlier today with a guy that owns a PR consulting
Mhm.
firm, and he does a lot of campaign PR work, and he works with the DNC, the Democratic
Yeah.
Party, and it was a very interesting podcast because, like, I'm not Democrat or Republican. Like to me, they're both one and the
Yeah.
same,
They're
right?
both
They're both
crooked.
they're both crooked, they're both
Yep.
corrupt, right? They got the country all fucked up with their
Yep.
BS. Um, but it was interesting to hear his perspective because he talked about um, what he thought Biden was doing well, what he thought Trump was doing well. But the one thing that he did say was how what they're having a hard time figuring out is when they do this polling, it's very hard to nail down exactly what someone is going to vote. And he used an example of um, they interviewed this contractor in Pennsylvania, and they were asking about Trump, and he said how he hated Trump, and he thought that Trump was a dictator, and he thought that Trump was a racist, but then he ended up voting for Trump. So initially, when you would hear someone say that, you would say, "Oh, they're definitely going to vote for
Yeah.
Kamala,"
Yep.
right? But he ended up voting for
Mhm.
Trump. And I said to him, I said, I think the problem is that people are just tired of the bullshit.
Yes.
They're tired of all of the lies. They're tired. They especially nowadays with social media and the exposure to
Yep.
information, people can read through the lies and the bullshit that the mainstream media is doing and what these politicians are saying, because now there's videos that come out and they show, well, a year ago they said this and now they're saying the complete
Yep.
opposite, right? So they're just pandering for
Mm-hmm.
votes. It's all they're
Yep.
doing, right?
Totally.
And so I think they want to change because, the example I gave him is, we're willing to send hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, but then our citizens in Hawaii who had a
Yep.
fire are only getting $750. Like, fuck
Yeah.
off, right? That's
Yeah. And
bullshit.
North Carolina with the
And
hurricane.
North Carolina,
Yeah.
exactly, right. Same thing. Um, and so I think that people are just starting to read through that stuff, and that's why you're seeing this big red wave, because Trump campaigned on that bullshit, getting rid of the government bureaucracy, getting rid of the toxicity in
Yep.
government, right? And so I think that's what. Look, I don't know if you read this week, but the Department of Defense just failed their
Yes.
seventh
I saw
audit.
that. I saw that. That's insane.
Their seventh
That's
audit.
insane.
The crazy thing is, like, if you're running a business, no bank or bonding company is going to give you money if you fail an audit, but yet the government can continue doing what they're doing.
It's what they call it, fiat money, right? It's just fake ass money.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And
Now, do you think your parents had the same mindset in terms of politics, being immigrants and stuff?
so again, I just assumed we were, right? I just assumed we were. And actually,
Mhm.
my mom is very conservative. She literally
Yeah.
has Newsmax on TV 24/7. And mind you, she's in her 70s and just like old and grumpy already. So,
Yeah.
she was the one that like texted me like Trump got shot. And I was like, oh my God, so she's
Yeah.
like, she's my
Yeah.
news. My dad, I
Mhm.
think he's a little bit in the middle, right? It's like, it's one of those things.
Mhm.
I used to describe myself socially democratic, but like fiscally
Yeah.
Republican, right?
Mhm.
But I don't know. Again, it's like there's there's no clear line where you can be, right? Because it's
Yeah.
impossible. But
Mhm.
based on my life and the future I'm trying to work towards, this made sense, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Like people talk about immigration. Again, I thought like I'm not white, like I'm born here, but my parents are. So like I'm pro-immigration. But my parents came here with a visa.
Mhm.
They didn't come here
Mhm.
illegally, right? And then all
Yep.
those stories about murders and drugs and kids, like that is crazy and scary, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, look at that Venezuelan gang that took over an entire apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado,
right. Right.
right?
And I mean, and
That's
then doesn't
bananas.
the media make it like, oh, fake news? Not for the people who
Yes.
live there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the other side of that too is it's like, how about the people that are coming that are true immigrants following the law and trying to get their citizenship, but yet they're letting all of these people that cross the border step in front of
Yeah,
line. Like, if I was an immigrant, I'd be pissed,
totally. Yeah.
right? Like, I'm following the rules, and now you're letting all these assholes get citizenship, all because you want votes. That's what
Yeah.
it is. It's votes, is what it
Okay. And I
unfortunately
told
is.
you, I voted for the first time. They didn't even fucking ask me for my ID. So I could have came
Oh my
back the next
god,
day as Jane Smith and voted again. Like that is insane to me. I thought the
that's
whole point
insane.
was you had to be a citizen or a natural
Right.
born citizen to vote. Like that's an honor you get coming to this country, and now
Yeah.
anyone can. Like that's bullshit. I'm sorry, that's bullshit.
It is 100%. Yeah, and you've got everyone on the left that's saying, "Oh, that's discrimination, that's racist." Fuck no, it's not. Look, I need an ID to go buy beer. I need an ID to drive a
Right.
car. I need an ID to enter
Yep.
school. How the fuck do I not need an ID to vote? That's
Makes no
asinine.
sense. Fucking
Yeah,
backwards.
yeah. It is. It is. Yeah. But California is a beautiful state.
And I'm never leaving unless, something crazy happens. And that's why I am getting into my entrepreneurial journey of like, I need to make more money. And I'm already capped
Mhm.
out in my day job. I'm at the highest level, at the highest salary. And,
Mhm.
so have to find other ways. Like multiple income streams is the new norm
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially living in California because that state is outrageous to live
Yeah.
in. Like, what do you think the average home price is in Orange County?
Oh, in Orange County, it's gotta be at least 1,000,000, honestly. If
Oh
not
my god.
800, 900. I mean, like, my story of, like, how it started was we were trying to buy a house in 2022. I was looking at 1,500,000, 5 bedrooms. By the time it was August and the interest rate shot up 3, 4 points, whatever, I could only afford a three-bedroom condo. My mortgage was gonna be
Jesus.
10, $11,000 a month. Like, I was gonna be house
Oh
poor
my god.
just to say I'm a homeowner. Fuck that.
Right. So you're just renting
I'm just
now?
renting and I have no desire to buy a home anymore because now I learned that you put your
Mhm.
income into income producing assets and you spend your passive income. So when I get to the
Yeah.
point where I have enough passive income to buy a house, then great. But I'm not putting home ownership as an accomplishment anymore because
Mhm.
it's just putting yourself in debt for the man, right?
Sure, sure.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because then the argument is saying, "Well, now you're just giving your money to some other investor." But the difference is people forget about the downstroke that you gotta come up with to go buy that
yeah,
house, right? So if you got $1,000,000 home and you gotta come up with 20%, I'd rather take that 200 grand and put it into investment
which I
property
did.
and rent than do, than anything
Yep, that's
else.
exactly what I did. Yep.
Yeah.
And I will continue.
That's that's the Grant Cardone way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
"Man, you can't rent. You gotta just rent. Don't
Well,
own."
and especially if you're running a business, right? Like then it's a write-off, my home office, right? So
Yeah.
these are the
Yeah.
things that they
Yeah,
don't
and
teach
yeah.
you in school, right?
No. Mm-mm. Yeah, that's what I say all the time. Why are we not teaching those kind of life skills in school instead of teaching fucking trigonometry, which you will never use in your
Freaking
life unless
calculus,
you're
right?
right, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is like and I'm terrible at like quoting shit, right? But the whole Rockefeller, like we were just training a bunch of workers to respond
Mhm.
to a ding, go to work, go to lunch, go home, do it again over and over again, hamster wheel,
Yeah.
so the man can make money. Well, I'm going to be the man and you guys are going to make money for
Yep.
me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
And there's nothing wrong with
No.
that. I mean, I think you see a lot of social media influencers. I'm using the quotation
Yeah.
marks for just those that are
Yep.
listening. They say all the time, you should work for yourself. You should work for yourself. Like, look, every person that works for themselves still needs
Yeah.
workers. There's nothing wrong with being a
Mhm.
worker. The difference is you should just be the best worker that you can be for that person because I will guarantee you if you're a small business owner and you've got people that work for you that do you right and run your business well, you will be compensated
Absolutely.
well. I think the mentality though is that people think of corporate
Mhm.
America, like working at Chase Bank and you're just a number and you're never going to get really paid what you're
Right.
worth, right? But that's not true. I mean, you get what you put into whatever you do in life,
Absolutely.
whether that's your job, your family, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I just, I have been awoken, whatever, and I've got
Mhm.
grandiose goals and I'm going after it. I'm really excited.
That's awesome. Well, so what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve?
So again, retire before 10 years, ideally maybe 5. I want to build a real estate portfolio, a real estate business, something I can pass down to my son.
Mhm.
I if my son wants to go to college, great, but I'm not going to pay for him to get a general studies college degree. Like that's stupid, right?
Yes.
That's a waste of money.
Yep.
But if
Mhm.
you want to be a doctor or
Mhm.
lawyer, sure, right? I mean, I'm currently supporting my mom right now. And again, I make a lot of money on
Mm.
paper, but I work or I live in California and I don't have any real write-offs yet, right? So
Yeah.
I want to be able to leave something positive for my son versus debt and
Yeah.
all that. So and then
Have you ever worked backwards into that, like what that number is that you're trying to achieve?
yeah, so we were actually we had a kind of team meeting like a few weeks ago, and there's about I guess there's 5 of us on our, so there's 3 of us in our fund and then our JV partner, so there's 5 of us. And we all
Mhm.
decided that we were looking for $1,000,000 as our number as income yearly, right? And so what,
Mm.
assets under management or whatever portfolio does that need to be for all of us? So the goal in 10 years
Mhm.
is to be like at 150 million in real in
Assets
real
under
estate. Yeah.
management. Yeah, just with your fund,
Yes.
not or does that include your JV people as well?
That's us together, right? Because then that gives
You're okay.
us
Mhm.
each about 1 million of income from that. So I'm not the
Yeah,
math
so
person.
you're
That's what they
talking.
said. I don't know. I could be wrong. Fuck me.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you have 150 million in assets under management, right? Then that's let's see, 10% is 15 million. So it's like
Okay.
3%. 3% of your assets under management would be would be income
Yes.
producing, actual
Yes.
dividends,
Okay.
if you will.
I'm not the math person. I trust you. They wrote it down. I wrote it down. I regurgitated it. Yeah. I'm the salesperson.
Yeah,
I'm the people person. I don't do spreadsheets.
that is
Yeah.
100% doable. 100%
Yeah.
doable. Finding the deals,
That's
right?
the hard part.
That's the
That's the
key.
hard part. Like,
Yeah.
I raise
Hmm.
capital and, there's a lot of money around me, but it's hard to find a good deal. So,
Yes.
yeah.
What do you think? What do you think your capital raising um, is good for? Like, what do you think you could get a check written for in total?
Well, so our fund is a 506c, right? So it's accredited.
Hmm.
So the
Hmm.
minimum check we're looking for is 100K. I mean,
Hmm.
100K, a million is 10 people. I feel like I could raise at least two, right? I don't know. I mean,
Mm.
but
That's really
yeah,
good.
I think I could get 20 people to invest. But that's why, like, the power of social
Absolutely.
media, right?
Hmm.
I want to try
Hmm.
to reach as many people as I can. And like the people I'm targeting are the same people as me, right? It's like high W2 income earners. Because
Sure.
that's the
Yep.
thing with like sales, right? It's like, I'm not selling you anything. I'm just, showing you an opportunity. But also, like, I'm just
Yep.
sharing my story, right? Like, I don't need your money.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
like, if I share my story of like, hey, I got into this because I was looking for ways to, decrease my taxes, right? And then I learned about investing in real
Hmm.
estate. And investing in real estate is not
Hmm.
just buying your own home, right? That's what everyone
Right.
thinks.
Right.
And,
Right.
then like depreciation. Like, I am not good at explaining this, but the concept of depreciation and being able to offset those taxes from that income, you cannot do that with stocks, which I'm heavily invested in
Nope.
because I work for Apple, again, 401k,
Hmm.
all that stuff.
Hmm.
But
Get your
you sell
options
that
with
shit,
Apple
you
and all
gotta
that.
pay taxes, and
Yeah.
there's no way to offset
Yeah.
that difference. Real
No.
estate,
Yep.
accelerated depreciation, right? Like, that's insane to me,
Yep.
and not many people know about
Yeah.
that.
No, and I have not only have I talked about this on my podcast all the time about depreciation and accelerated depreciation, cost
Yep,
segregation, but even like people in general, when I have conversations, they'll say, "Hey, I listen to your podcast." Like, I had no idea that real estate was that way, and then I explain to them about
yep,
depreciation, right? You take your purchase price, you divide it by 27 and a half. That's how much you can write off from your adjusted gross income every single year. That's without cost segregation, without the accelerated
yep,
depreciation. That is
yep,
huge because now you're not paying tax. I mean, like most real estate professionals don't
yep,
pay tax
right. And that's why, like,
or
people
very
are getting
little.
pissed that Trump didn't pay his taxes. No, he's a real estate professional. His
Right.
business is real estate.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't pay tax. He's not
Yeah.
evading the
He
IRS.
No, no. He even said that in the first
Yeah,
term in his
yeah,
campaign when Hillary was saying, "Oh, he doesn't pay taxes," and he goes, "Right, because I'm smart. I'm using the same exact tax laws that your donors
yeah.
are using to avoid paying
But
taxes."
the layman person in Iowa, Kansas, whatever,
Right,
doesn't know that, right? And they
yeah,
don't want them to know
right,
that.
exactly, right, exactly right. Yep,
So,
yeah. Yeah. Uh, that has me thinking now because, I did, when I first started in business, I did a Tony Robbins,
mhm,
coaching course where you worked one-on-one with the coach. And he's like, what's your grand plan? What are you trying to achieve? And I said, well, I want to do this. I want to do that. And he's like, okay, well, have you blueprinted it? Have you worked it backwards? And I said, no. He goes, you need it tonight. You need to sit down and you need to reverse engineer your life that you want. That's exactly what I did. So I'm a spreadsheet nerd. So I sat down and on my spreadsheet, I'm like, okay, this is the house I want. This is how much I want to, I know I'm going to spend on a house, like my vice is cars. So if I make a lot of money, I'm going to have a garage full of cars. So here are all the cars that I want. I want to be able to take care of my parents. Here's how much those salaries are going to cost, but all the way down the line, right? Okay. So now here's the annual lifestyle cost. How are you going to get to that? All right. So now you work backwards into your investments. Well, if I invest X and I know this is the return, then that's how much I need to get to be able to afford that lifestyle. And I think that's key for anybody, even if you're just a regular W-2 worker, right? If nowadays, most people cannot survive on their retirement and Social Security because the cost of living is escalating so rapidly. But there's no reason why, if you're a W-2 worker, why you can't, some of the cash that you got set aside, invest into real estate, like through us, through a fund, and be able to get that tax-free money. Look, this is how I tell people. If you invest, let's say $100,000, like you're a $100,000 check writer, right? $100,000 in 3 to 5 years, typically speaking, we can 2x your money within 3 to 5 years. The stock market, you can't do that.
And you have to pay taxes on it.
At all. And you have to pay taxes on it. So, and then you compound that, right? So think about that. If you're 40 years old, let's just use 40, and you invest $100,000 into a deal, right? And let's use the 5 years. By 45, that 100 is 200. By 50, that 200 is 400. By 55, by 60, all the way to 65, your initial $100,000 is now $2 million plus. Where else are you going to be able to do that?
Nowhere. Yeah.
Tax-free or not, or little
Well,
tax.
and that's the other strategy that I got mind blown about is, a self-directed IRA, right? If you have a self-directed Roth IRA,
yes.
So like Peter Thiel, right, was one of the main investors for Facebook, invested his money through a Roth IRA, and that's billions of dollars, no tax.
I did not know he did that through a Roth IRA.
So it's no tax, no fucking
shit.
tax.
Wow.
Like genius, damn it. So these are all the things that like genius. I would rather, like, I'm going to teach my son this. Like, he's going to learn this when when the moment he can read, which he can read some words, like he's not reading freaking whatever, like Harry Potter. He's reading a freaking finance book, a real estate book.
Train him young. Yeah. I mean, look, that's, Grant Cardone. So those are the people that don't know who Grant Cardone is. He's like the big real estate social media guru in our industry, right? That's what he's done with his two daughters. They don't go to traditional school. They're homeschooled, and he teaches them how to invest, how to handle money, right? All of that stuff. So now his oldest daughter, Sabrina, I think, like she's like 16, and she's going to be a millionaire by the time she's 18 years old because she works for his company. He makes her take 100% of those dollars back into his fund to invest. And like I said, you just 2x it and you just compound it and keep growing.
And his salary to her is a tax write-off for him. Like, this is how rich people get rich, is like you employ your family, you circulate that money around, and then you put it into investments. And then the whole other thing with like insurance and what is it, like infinite banking, that whole other thing. And it's still kind of like beyond my brain. But like there's so many things you can do. So many things you can do.
Yes. So many things you can do. It's crazy what's out there that most people don't know.
Like my girlfriends are excited about their 4% high yield savings at Capital One.
Savings.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Throw that into a fund. Throw that into a real estate fund and 2x your money in 5 years.
Oh, another thing I learned, again, I'm bad with memory, but like someone mentioned, real estate's always going to be there, right? The building is not going anywhere, heaven forbid, like natural disaster, fire, whatever. But companies go out of business.
Yep.
So people think that companies or the stock market is more reliable, So.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I remember, listen, there's 2 times in my life, the internet bust and the recession. So the internet bus, people that had 401ks or IRAs, that those platforms that invested into mutual funds or whatever that were invested in those companies, right? In the internet companies that went belly up and all that stuff. There was people that were literally like 2 to 3 years that I knew personally, 2 to 3 years away from retiring, lost more than 50% of their portfolio. And now they're starting over. So now they've got to work an additional 10 years. So going back to what you're saying, they're literally retiring at the average death age.
Which is like, what the
It's
fuck?
like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's about making smart choices with your money, you know. And so many people, that's the other thing, is so many people like get money and they feel like it's burning a hole in their pocket, and they'll go out and they'll get the latest Jordans or, you know, or a new car. And this, here's another something I tell people is like, look, go start an LLC. Even if you've got like a side gig that you're doing after your
Yep.
W-2, that car that you want to go buy could be a write-off, right? Or you could take that money that you're going to buy a car and invest it and use the payout from the investment to pay for the car, you
See, I
know?
wish I would have known that. So I've always hustled my whole life. I always had side businesses. So like
Mm-hmm.
in my 20s, I used to I used to go dance at a club, not stripping, go dance. I
Nice.
used to model for like Fast and Furious, like car shows. And
Okay.
I've sold my luxury bags online, but I didn't know anything about starting an LLC. I could have like written off all this shit.
Uh-huh.
And,
Yeah.
it's like, so again, it's like I've always been great with money and making more money than I was at that age. But there are all
Mm-hmm.
these other things that I wish I knew that could have just made it a little bit better, but it's okay. I'm learning now.
Yeah. Hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I say all the time too. Like I bought these gyms 10 years ago. The capital that I used to buy these gyms, if I would have just bought into real estate, which was my initial plan anyways, there's no question in my mind I'd be a millionaire by now, you know. And probably not have a podcast and you know, I'd be living on an
Right.
island
Yeah.
somewhere.
See, that's my goal. I want to travel literally like every quarter. I want my son to have been to 10 countries
Mhm.
before he's 10 years old because I didn't get to do that when I was young.
Mm,
The first time I got to go out of
yep.
country, minus like Mexico, because we're in SoCal, I was like in my late
Yeah.
20s, maybe early 30s, So
Right. Do you get back to the
I've never
Philippines at
been.
all?
Never been. Well, I wanted to
Really?
go. Was I in my 30s? I wanted to go in my 30s. I was going to go with one of my girlfriends, and my father would not let me because Philippines is third world country and there's a lot of kidnappings. And when I was younger, I used to dye my hair blonde and all that shit. And he's like,
So you would stick
yes.
out like
And
a
I
sore
can't speak the
thumb.
language. I sound like a white girl and they're going to kidnap me
Yeah.
and we don't have
Yeah.
money and you're going to die. And I was like, okay, dad. So I never got to go,
Yeah.
but it's on my list.
And your parents have never gone back?
No, no. I mean, my dad's gone a few times, but I never went
Wow.
with him. My mom hasn't been back in a long
Mhm.
time. It's like I don't know, I don't know if your parents are immigrants or whatnot, but it's like most of the immigrants come to America and don't really go back, right? Again, my
They
parents
don't go, yeah,
were
right.
middle class, kind of lower, so we didn't have money to be going back and forth. It's expensive, right? So
Yeah. Did they move straight from Philippines to
we moved to
California?
Chicago. And then yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
then
right.
we
Yes.
lived in, Phoenix for a little bit, and then when we moved to California,
Uh-huh.
we were in LA, and then I've been in Orange County since I was,
Mm.
like, in 3rd grade, since I was 9.
Whereabouts in Chicago were they living?
I was born in Elgin, so Schaumburg, Carpentersville, yeah,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Man,
yeah,
small world. That's right. I
yeah,
remember us talking about that now
yeah.
at the thing.
So the last time I went to Chicago, I was in my 30s. My birthday's on St. Patrick's Day, so we went to the city, I got to see the river turn
Oh,
green,
oh,
and I was
yeah.
drinking
Yeah.
freaking Jameson and, like, barfed, but because people are like walking in the snow, and I'm like, okay, like I guess you have to drink. That's the only way you can stay
Yeah.
warm. I'm
I
happy I
know.
experienced
Yeah.
that, but I'm probably never gonna do that again.
No, yeah. I don't even think, I could be wrong, but I don't even think they're doing the St. Patty's Day parade
Really?
anymore in Chicago because it got
Oh yeah,
so out of
totally.
control.
Oh, it was insanity. No,
Yeah,
straight
it
debauchery.
was. Yeah. Yeah. And in fact, now it's actually snowing now. We had our first snow
No,
today. And it was like, the weather said it was going to snow, but just the temperature was a little warm. So we're like, oh, it's not going to stick. But then the temperature dropped and the snow kept coming. And we've got a pretty decent amount. Like the roads are
Are
not
you
that
in the
good right now.
city or are you out a little bit?
No, so I'm right outside of the city in
Oh,
Northwest Indiana. I'm way up in the corner of Indiana, so I'm 30
got
minutes
it.
from Chicago. Yeah, Chicago people, true Chicago people hate when Hoosiers say
Oh,
that. When Hoosiers say, "Oh, I'm from Chicago," because
right,
we're so close to I'm
right.
10 minutes from the Illinois border and
Yeah,
30
yeah,
minutes to the city. I'm nowhere
yeah.
near Indianapolis. I'm 2.5 hours away from
No, I
Indianapolis.
got
So
yelled at from
they hate when we
someone
say
because
that.
I said Chicago but I wasn't from the city. And I'm like,
Oh,
if I
yeah,
tell people I'm from
right.
fucking Elgin, they're gonna be like, where the fuck is that? Right? So
Right,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah. um So the fund that you guys are creating, is it a mixed use fund so you guys can invest outside of just RV parks and multifamily, other asset
It's
types?
gonna be multifamily, RV parks, and boutique hotels. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's another hot thing too is the
Yes.
boutique
Yeah. Rich
hotels.
Summers. Yeah. I'm in his mastermind for that and
Yeah.
hoping, we can get a deal under contract for that as well.
Is there anything in the pipeline deal flow wise for a boutique
No, not
hotel?
yet. Yeah, the majority of our focus is in RV parks. Some people have sent us some deals, but nothing yet.
Mhm. I know that a lot of cities and states are kind of cracking down on the Airbnb thing because that's kind of what drives the boutique hotel
Right.
side of things. Do you think that's going to affect anything with that
So
industry?
my understanding, again, I'm not an expert, is like that's why boutique hotels are so interesting. Is because they're commercial, right? And I think those Airbnb laws are single family laws. So I think that's the kind of like
Mm.
loophole around that is that in cities where Airbnb is getting cracked
Mhm.
down, you can buy a boutique hotel, which is like what, I don't know, 10 to 30 units or doors, they say, but operate it
Sure.
as
Yeah.
a Airbnb. So meaning self-managed, right? Not having an on-site manager. Um, yeah,
Mhm.
that's the way I understand it.
That's man, that's interesting. That's got me
Yeah.
thinking now. Maybe I should switch my my investment
I
strategy
mean, look
now.
into it, right? I mean, multifamily is not underwriting, it's very competitive. Obviously
Mhm.
BlackRock is just going to own everything, so whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
But, RV parks are still like doable. And I think there's a lot of boutique hotel opportunities. You just got to find the right one. I mean, numbers.
That one that Rich just finished up
Yeah.
is gorgeous, right? The one that's, like, right
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
coast of
I look forward
California.
to checking that out. I want to go.
Is that was that one in Northern California, or was
In
it by
Northern
you?
California. I think it's near like Sonoma. Yeah, like wine country. Yeah.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
nice, I mean, I haven't been
Yeah.
there yet, but I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
gorgeous. You do a lot of public speaking too. How did you get involved with that?
So I did my first essential public speaking last week. It was speaking on a panel. Um, I am one of the leaders of a group called Orange County JV, which is a real estate investing community in Orange County.
Mm,
And so I speak in front of that group,
mhm.
and that's about 50 to 100 people every month type of situation. Um, for as outgoing and personable as I am, public speaking is still terrifying. Like this is easy, right? Small groups in person. When you
Right.
have thousands of eyes like
Yeah.
staring at you. So I'm still working my way up
Yeah.
to that, but doing the panel last week, like I remember when I was introducing myself, I could hear my voice cracking and like, your armpits are sweating, your heart's beating. But then obviously like as you
Yeah.
start doing it and like towards the middle and the end, I'm like, okay, I'm getting the hang of it. But I am not ready to be like the only person on stage with like a PowerPoint and like, because the thing
Right.
is, I feel like I'm a good speaker, but I have not honed in on the storytelling technique. And that's very important
Mm,
when you're speaking
mhm.
on stage, right? To keep people's
Mhm.
attention.
Mhm.
That's a whole
Yep.
skill in itself. Like now I understand why like actors get paid so much, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
easy, There are frameworks that you
Mm,
need to follow. So I'm trying to,
yeah.
you know, learn that.
I know I'm gonna have to start doing that kind of stuff too to keep
Mhm.
exposing my brand. But man, I don't want to say it terrifies me, but when I was a kid, I grew up Catholic and I used to be an altar boy. And to this day, I could remember when I did my first mass as an altar boy. I literally had to walk off the altar because I thought I was going to shit my pants. I was
Yeah.
so nervous. So I was like a little kid. I was in the back room behind the altar and I was like farting nonstop because I was so
That's
nervous.
awesome.
So I can't imagine what it's going to be. I have a little PTSD thinking, oh God, I'm going to get on stage and talk. And then a dingleberry is going to roll down my leg or
Dude, totally.
something.
The transition, or like the moment in my life that I started getting nervous was like, I think I was in my senior year of high school. I was supposed to give a presentation on my psychology report. And I knew like it was two
Mm.
people before me, and like my stomach was hurting and I was freaking out. I asked to go to the bathroom and I never came back. And I told the teacher that I had diarrhea, which I didn't, but like I never came back. But like I actually did a Paddington Bear, if anybody's old enough to know who the fuck that guy is,
Yeah.
um, play when I was in third grade. So I've always been outgoing and I did
Hmm.
that, but I don't know. Some trauma happened to me in high school. I can't remember. It's repressed in a box somewhere. And, public speaking was just so terrifying to me. So I'm trying to work through that. But, doing podcasts like this, right, is good practice. Just getting like the
Yeah.
mechanics of
Yeah.
speaking going and whatnot. And, if you can
Yeah.
speak in front of small rooms, that's obviously the best way to kind of like work your way to it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, anything in life is a skill, and a skill
Yes.
takes reps
Hmm.
to get better.
Yep.
Anything that you're doing, right? Raising capital, managing real estate, managing people, it's
Yeah,
all skill work.
it really is.
Yeah. And again, they don't
No.
teach that shit in school.
Yeah. They teach you to focus on your weaknesses. Like, I would have to
Yeah.
focus on math and be a good underwriter. Fuck that. Someone else on my team does that, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Work by yourself, no collaboration. Like, it's totally opposite
Yeah.
of like entrepreneurship.
Opposite. Yep. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And you're starting to see that too, where I don't know if you notice, I'm sure you see this in California because California is a little progressive with the way they do things, but there's a lot of now like I don't want to call them Montessori's, but there's schools that are popping up that are teaching in a completely different way that's
Yeah.
not compared to the traditional
Yeah.
school system,
Yeah.
which I think is great.
So I looked into that. I like the collaboration, but then it's like you're paying for them just to play. And it's like, I'm Asian, I'm a
Mm.
tiger mom. My kid's gonna be smart as fuck by 5. So my son was already like pointing out numbers and letters at 15 months. So yeah.
Really?
Oh
Did
yeah.
you like work with him
So
and
that's
teach
the
him to
like
do that?
so I
Really?
got pregnant during COVID. And I got to stay home with my son until
Okay.
he was 2, right? So most moms have to like go back to work
Mm-hmm.
6 weeks, right? And
Yep.
I was
Yep.
able to just read to him. Like, funny story. We got a bunch of books in our baby shower. And my mother-in-law was like, "Oh, you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to need to read to him until he's 6 months." I'm like, "Fuck that. I am reading to him the moment he pops out of me." My kid is
Yeah.
4 years old, speaks way better than all the other kids in his class, knows how to spell his name, memorized my phone number because he hears me saying it at home when I'm working, knows his address, can
Wow.
count up to, I think, almost 40 now. Like, he is smart as fuck, and I'm so
Wow.
proud. But yes, I worked with him. I bought these Montessori toys with him, and I've been like, one of the books I bought for him is ABCs of Engineering. I was reading that to him as a newborn. But they say children are sponges, right? So he's been hearing it
They
for
are.
4 years.
Yeah.
So,
That's a fact. Like kids' brains are sponges. I think up until they turn into a teenager, they are
yeah.
sponges. And that is the prime time to be doing that
Yeah.
kind of shit with your kids.
Yep. So I'm very
Yeah,
proud, and yeah, I
totally.
mean, it was a lot of work, but yeah, look at him now. He's gonna be a fucking badass. Yeah.
That's awesome. Brenda, this was a lot of fun. Where can everybody reach you?
Main profile or platform is Instagram, so Brenda Rose Invests, but I am also on Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
I'm going to leave all those in the show notes. Brenda, thanks for coming on. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed our
Yes, thank you so much.
conversation.
I hope to see you soon.
All righty.